Oh, I'm just a dude playing. Oh, wait a minute. I can't really there. Just a dude in California who likes guns and cameras. Reno May is our special guest.
But first, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone, and there's no guarantee that the justice system will be on your side. Gun owners should have coverage for the legal battle after your self-defense battle. And while you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year, with comprehensive self-defense coverage at an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Hey, and guess what, Gun Owner Radio listeners? You can get 2 free months of coverage when you join. Use promo code America1 at uslawshield.com/America. All right, Wendy, who we got on the line?
We're super excited to have Reno May on the line with us. Reno, you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Welcome, welcome.
Happy to be here.
So you're just a dude in California who likes guns and cameras. Your YouTube bio says that you worked at a gun shop for a while and made videos for that business, and then you decided to pick the channel back up and make videos again. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good way to put it. We started the gun store or channel back in 2016, I believe, and that was right around Gunmageddon, which a lot of you are probably very well aware of, when a whole slew of bills was passed, and some of them were going into effect then, some of them were going into effect later. And we would get so many phone calls every single day and get so many people coming into the store asking, the same questions about, hey, what's this law? What's this law? How do I get a gun? How do I do this? Can I get an AR-15 anymore? Which I think we all know the answer to nowadays. But there was so much confusion that we figured it would be best to, rather than have to spend 10 to 12 minutes on the phone with someone explaining the ins and outs of the law, it would be a lot easier if we could just record it once, do it perfect, and then direct our customers to that, because we thought it would be a better source of information. Mm-hmm. And then the gun store closed down in about 2018, and I kind of just walked away from it at that point. I didn't have the access to the firearms to really talk about. I didn't really see how I myself would fit into it at that time. And then, I just one day in 2019, because that was the year a lot of laws changed with how to buy a firearm in California, with the age limits. With if you were 18 to 20, you would have to get a hunting license to get a firearm at all. I think that was that year. And a lot of people were commenting, asking if anything changed, how the process changed. And I decided, what, I got tired of getting the emails because I couldn't figure out how to turn off the comment emails and whatnot. So I figured I'll just make a video. I'll explain all that stuff. And then, I'll just walk away from it again. And then the next week I made another video, and the next week and the next week. And then, it kind of just ended up being, here we are. And I think it kind of took a life of its own as this little side gig job that I do. And I like to keep to that. I'm just a guy in California who's talking about stuff. And I think that for me, that's kind of I like that. I want to encourage other people to have that same level of communication and discussion with other people, and hopefully get other people to, share the wealth and share the knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, you're downplaying it a little bit when you say that it took on a life of its own. I mean, you've got a massive following. So, what is it now?
I think a little over 150K on YouTube,
That's fantastic.
Which is I'm very pleased with.
So what's your favorite part about running the channel? Is it all of the comment emails that you get? Did you ever figure out how to turn those off?
I did eventually figure out how to turn that off. That was a must figure out after the first few videos went live in 2019. I think the coolest thing for me is I know that there's a few of my subscribers that have, and this is something that I kind of, I mentioned the other day, I think, a few of my subscribers actually found out about court cases that were going on that were being supported by, CRPA, FPC, and various other organizations, San Diego County Gun Owners. I can't remember which specific one it was, but they found out about a court case because of my channel and me talking about it. And then they ended up being able to become a plaintiff in one of those court cases. And I'm not going to say their name specifically because I don't know how much they want known about who they are specifically. But I think that was probably the coolest thing for me, because that was a very tangible way to show that there is a difference being made.
Right. That's super cool. Very nice. So what about the flip side? What's the worst part of running the channel?
I think, the worst or the hardest part about running a channel is trying to stay humble and stay true to like what I want to be about. I think it's very easy to get kind of lost in the YouTube game and maybe start letting your morals slip. And it's something that, you might see in some channels here and there in various other spheres. And I just didn't want that to happen to me. I wanted to kind of stay as normal as I can. So, I mean, you'll still see me commenting on various social media platforms on my, personal or my gun accounts. My Reddit account is I'm still out there and people still notice me there. And it's just funny when people spot me in the wild on various other platforms. But I think it's hard staying up to date. I think the most difficult or the worst part about it is just it's a lot of negativity that you have to deal with, in the sense that like laws are changing, and if a law is bad, which is generally the ones that we're constantly trying to fight, it's just, you're kind of delving into the realm of not fun situations. Because, obviously all of us would love if the Second Amendment was interpreted the way it should be interpreted by some of our legislators, but it isn't. So we kind of always have to be on like fighting and fighting and fighting. And that, I think, for some people is difficult to deal with.
So I work for San Diego County Gun Owners, and one of the coolest things that we've seen with the creation of our organization is that there have been moments where we've had good news. I think I totally feel you where you say, it feels like all the time it's just bad news. It's sharing about all these horrible gun laws and all of this stuff that they're doing to gun owners to try to take away our rights. And it's been very, very cool to be able to see how people react when there is hope, when we do fight back and we do accomplish things like turn around the CCW policy in San Diego, or get a really good ruling in a lawsuit, and people just get so excited. And that's one of my favorite parts about working for an organization like San Diego County Gun Owners. So speaking of spotting you in the wild, you were saying about staying humble, do you ever get recognized? The grocery store?
I think so. I do. And when I talk to other people that are similarly sized to me, I think I get recognized more often than other channels similarly sized. And I'm sure Anthony Miranda with Armed Scholar probably has the same opinion, I would assume. I feel like I get recognized way too often for how large of a channel I have. I feel like I get stopped in public more often than I would expect. And I think that's mostly because I am so focused on California and I live in California. So it makes it much more likely for me to run into a subscriber, since so many of that 150,000 is local in a sense. I mean, California is a massive state. We all know that. But it's interesting. I think the first time that I got recognized, I was not prepared for it at all. And it was a good interaction. But I was at a gun store in an area that I don't normally go to, and I got recognized there. And I was like, "Oh, cool! Like this might be like a thing that happens in the future. That's neat." And then the first time I got recognized, not at a gun store, I was like, "Okay, wow, this is like actually a thing that happens to me now, because this isn't this isn't at a gun store. It's not at a gun range." So that was pretty interesting. And I've had someone buy me a beer at a restaurant before. And the first time, I think that's only happened like once or twice. But the first time that happened, my then fiance, now wife, were sitting down at the table, having dinner, having drinks. And the waiter brings over a beer, and they're like, "Here, the gentleman over there wanted to get this for you." And I was thinking like, oh, someone's doing like one of those like pay it forward things. That's pretty cool. And then I thought to myself, wait, there's no way that this person recognized me and bought a beer. So I kind of look around and I like make eye contact, and they're like, someone waves me down and they're like, oh yeah, hey, thank you, man. I really appreciate what you do. And I was like, no way, that's funny. And they actually said that they found out about Sonoma County's CCW policy being more open now and ended up getting their concealed carry permit after thinking it was impossible because of a video that I made. And that was super cool. That was probably one of the coolest random encounters I've had.
Well, it sounds like you've got the right attitude, because once you put yourself out there, even though you weren't planning on putting yourself out there, you have to go that extra mile of being appreciative, humble, thanking them. You know, it's funny, I do local television, and I don't run into it as much as you do, I don't think, but I always carry business cards with me, and I always give them to the people, and I go, look, hey, for recognizing me, here's my card. If there's anything I can do to help you, all you have to do is reach out. And it just blows them away, because I know a lot of people that do what you do and do what I do, that if somebody comes up to them, oh, they hate it. They hate it. And I tell them, I go, if you hate it, get out of it, because you can't be that way. You have just earned a new friend, and you have to treat that person like a friend.
Mm-hmm. And that's something that's always interesting, because it's sometimes hard on the creator or the personalities end, because they know a lot about you, but you probably don't know anything about them. So it's a power dynamic in that like relationship that I think is very interesting and something that I never really understood before. So it's I'm still excited.
I still don't. My wife says, "Who was that?" I says, "Beats the hell out of me. I have no idea who it was." But I'll talk to him like as if we were best friends. But you know what? And that's the way. To me, that's the way you need to do it. I think that's really cool. But hey, I guess we're going to keep him for the next segment.
We are.
Don't you touch that dial. Freedom of speech is just as important as our freedom of self-defense. We are thrilled to support an American company like MyPillow. So go to MyPillow.com and use the code FREEMARKET3 and get up to 66% off America's best pillow. Get a great night's sleep and enjoy the satisfaction of supporting companies fighting against cancel culture. That's MyPillow.com and use the FREEMARKET3 for up to 66% off. All right, we got Reno May on the line, and he's a YouTube star. And he didn't realize he was a star, but now he's being recognized. So I guess he's a star after all. All right, you don't have to answer this, but is Reno May your real name?
That's I got to answer that with a little bit of a statement first.
Okay.
So I get two questions or two things said to me most often when people meet me. The first is, wow, I didn't think you were that tall, because I'm 6'2", and it's kind of hard to tell when I'm sitting by myself in a room pointed from chest up.
That's what I would have said. You don't look that tall sitting on your videos.
And then, is that your real name? And yes, it is. It's kind of funny, because I never really got that growing up, when I would introduce myself to people, or if like someone but now that the channel, I think people think it's a stage name, because so many people go by stage names on YouTube. And nope, I just chose my real name.
Okay, so did you ask your mom and dad, why did you call me Reno? I mean, were they a fan of Reno, Nevada?
I had to ask, because everyone always assumes the most obvious answer.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of funny. I was born 5 weeks early, so very, very early. And they hadn't quite set on a name yet. And my mom went into labor, or went into the hospital, because she wasn't feeling well. She was feeling some pains, and they were like, over a month away. That couldn't possibly be that, right? So they go to the hospital, and she says, I'm feeling discomfort. I'm like, okay, well, we're going to get you ready. You're going to be giving birth today. So they hadn't quite set on the name yet. They wanted something unique. And my dad got the phone call from him from work, was driving over, and he saw a sign that said, Reno, Nevada, so many miles away, or like come visit Reno, something like that.
No
And
kidding.
he said, what about that? And there it is.
How cool is it? I was going to say, because was there an old cowboy in the cowboy movies?
There was always an old cowboy named Reno.
There was always a cowboy named Reno. All right. Well, we digress, but our listeners and all your fans, I'm sure, feel much better today than they did a few minutes ago.
Got to go ahead and answer that one right off.
I did. Well, I get off air and Wendy says, I don't think we should ask him that. That's kind of private. I go, look, if he sticks himself out there on all these YouTubes, he's gunning for it. He's going to get it.
Somebody's already asked him that, I'm sure.
Yeah. All right. So, Wendy, you had some more questions.
Meet and greet, that was the most common question.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, we did. It was super fun to have you at the Route 66 event. So,
it was super fun.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments about being surprised at how tall you were, too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
being 5 weeks early, that's even amazing.
Very, very blessed. Very happy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So you do a lot of recording. You've got a ton of videos out there. What you normally release at least 1 or 2 videos a week, right?
Yeah, it's usually about 2 a week. Sometimes it's more. Yeah.
So do you release a video that pops into your head, or do you have a schedule? Do you have an outline of, say, 10 videos that you want to do in the next 2 weeks?
I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants for the most part.
I had a feeling. You're driving down the road. Somebody cuts you off, and you go, I'm going to go home and do a video on that guy.
Yeah, it's a lot of, just current events as laws come up, especially with, things like the recall election, talking about that. I was kind of waiting because I didn't want to make too many videos talking about it. I wanted it to kind of be like, hey, here's my strategy. And my strategy is this. First of all, I'm voting yes to recall.
Right.
And then I'm going to walk into the polling location. And before I do that, I'm going to look at who's the highest polling person that I feel comfortable with,
right?
And I'm going to vote for them.
Hey,
and that's my plan.
You should do a video on the proper throwing of an egg, because that lady was terrible. Well, Joe is kind of the same way. He's our infamous blogger. And Joe, don't you kind of run into the same thing? You don't really have 10 blogs that you're going to do. It's what the current affairs and what you hear or see motivates you.
Mine are kind of a mix, because I'll have usually 3 or 4 or 5 even ideas like on deck, and then like Reno's saying, I'll see something, because I read a lot every day, and I'll see something. It's, oh, okay, I got to do that one. And some things are time sensitive. Some things, I have to draw. You got to do that one like in the next day or 2, or it doesn't make sense.
Right.
And then some of the other ones I have on deck really aren't time sensitive, so I can do those later. So I kind of do a mix of things.
So, Reno,
I think that's the big thing is some stuff. It's like, man, like I could have had another video planned today, but it's like this has to go out now.
Yeah.
So, Reno, you do so many videos. Do you have a favorite video that you've done?
Oh my gosh!
I think it would have to be a tie between my How to Buy a Gun in California videos, the most recent one that was in 2020, and the Good Cause for Concealed Carry in California, because I think those had the biggest impact. And so many people would comment saying like, oh, I wasn't comfortable with the process of buying a gun, but I saw your video and it broke it down, and now I did. And I think that's huge, because California, if you didn't grow up around guns and you didn't really have someone there to show you the ropes, it's complicated enough to where it might discourage someone from walking in that door.
Absolutely.
And if I can get them to walk in that door and feel comfortable and ready to go, then that's mission accomplished,
So if I was to look for your videos, and I am slightly older than dirt, how would I go about that? If I go to YouTube, do I just put your name in?
Yep. Go on YouTube, type in RENO space MAY, and it should show right up.
Okay.
If you have any questions about how to buy guns or any gun question, if you type that into Google, it might show my face a few times. It just depends on what you Google.
But you'll only look like you're 3 feet tall because it's from the waist up.
Exactly.
What about a fun video? What's the video that you had the most fun shooting?
I think that would have to be a tie between some of the gun videos that I've made reviewing firearms and the videos that we put out regarding the meet and greet events that we did with Route 66. Because that was it was so cool being able to meet so many people. I think the most recent one with Anthony that we did, the Armed in May event, over 2,000 people were there over the 2 days. One of those days being Mother's Day. So that was impressive to see that much of a turnout. And I think that was probably the most fun just because it was such an experience, the process doing it. And then, obviously shooting guns is really cool. So anytime I get to shoot a gun and talk about it in a video, that's always really fun for me.
So when you're going to review a gun, do you have to go to a gun store, or are the gun manufacturers recognizing you as a viable tool to talk about their gun?
There's two guns that I got sent or been given. One of them was the Franklin Armory CA-11, and that ended up being a very prosperous relationship between the two of us because of the stuff that they were doing with the Title I, having the 3 handguns on the roster. They approached me when I was around 2,000 subscribers. So that was really cool of them. And I'm so appreciative of them getting in on the ground floor and helping me out there. And then the other one that I got sent it kind of happened organically because, again, it was another company that it was like, I was going to be talking about these people anyway. Second Amendment Zone down in, I think they were in Rancho Cucamonga. I can't remember the exact city they're in now, but they do some single shot conversion for the SIG P320. And I had made some videos previously talking about some of the stuff they did, and they ended up saying, hey, as like a thank you, because you've sent us so much business, I'd like to send you out this fire control unit for the P320. So yeah, I'm still at a point where I buy most of the stuff with, my own money that I make from the channel.
Gotcha. Well, the reason I bring it up is because Joe is our product reviewer. And I keep telling him, just reach out to these companies and tell them what you're going to do, and they'll send it to you. And he goes, okay. And then he goes down and he buys it.
I was buying them anyway,
So he hasn't got it quite figured out yet. But I think you're absolutely correct. And you're doing it. I mean, they're coming to you, which is huge. So I cannot wait to see your videos, because your videos must be compelling enough for a manufacturer to come to you, which is a true compliment on what you're doing.
And you must be living the dream to just be able to use the money that you make from the channel to help grow the channel.
To feed your illness.
Well, hey, to be fair, though, the bug assault gun people did send me a bug assault gun, which turned out to be one of the best reviews here,
Have you got one of those yet? Reno?
I do. I think I saw some new ones that they have that look like they might be CO2 powered. I don't know if that's what I was seeing, but I saw something that was shooting with some velocity, and I was like, that's borderline on a firearm.
Yeah. Rick was nice enough they sent us one, and my wife has dogs, and we have horses in our area, and I always yell at her when she leaves the door open. Now I just leave the door open because, man, I am getting really good. I got a red dot on mine. That thing is bad. That thing's bad to the bone, I'm telling you.
All right, before we wrap up.
Before we digress.
Before we wrap up, we had such a good time at the Armed in May event. I wanted to see if you had anything in the works for any events like that, or if you're coming down to San Diego anytime soon. We'd love to do another meet and greet.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure about a date, but I know at some point we want to do more like pop-up events down at Route 66, just maybe like I'll show up with like a day notice. We would obviously talk to vendors maybe in advance because it'd be a little harder to get you guys out there. Because we think that would be cool as like a little like organic thing. And I'd love to do that more often all over the state. Like if there were other ranges that wanted to have me out. So if anyone's listening and anyone knows, I'd love to be able to, I don't know, maybe brighten someone's day and show up. But as of right now, nothing's set in stone, but we definitely want to come back to Route 66 a lot more often.
And what is we? Who is we?
Me and my buddies who I have tag along with us for the most part.
Just double checking.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, again, just go to YouTube, put in Reno May.
Yep, Reno May. Just type it in and it should show right up.
All right, can't wait.
Well, thank you very much.
All right, buddy, take care. We look forward to talking to you down the road. Stay close.
Right on.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.